All right, good evening and welcome everybody to the Village of Weberville Council meeting. Today is April 27th, 2026. We'll get started here with a roll call.
McEwen,
Here.
Schoenborn, here. Stanfield, here. Walter, here. Schulze.
Here. We have a quorum. Everybody please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is there an approval for the agenda this evening?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, we'll open up for our first round of public comment at 6:01.
Okay, John Leonard, village resident. The last council meeting on the 14th, I had a couple of issues that I was kind of questioning. One of them is I would like to know what the protocol is for when the village president is out of town, not able to respond to any duties. Who is next in charge and why isn't that person informed when you are out of the village so that questions could be answered or duties could be complied with? Second of all, and again, this was raised last council meeting, and I didn't get any kind of a response other than the fact that the village clerk treasurer has full responsibility to do what is in her authority to do what necessary to run the office. And I wonder if that includes the village. Second of all, the office was closed, and this was an issue I also brought up. I understand the comment. The clerk can make the decision to close the office, but who was it that requested both clerk and deputy clerk to be out of the office at the same time? Was it the chair of the DDA that requested their presence over at the Ford building to do some project? And who is it that's setting the hours then for what the village is supposed to be open? These are questions that I kind of raised on the 14th. I understand the request or the comment that the president made, but I think it needs to go a little bit farther and determine what's the protocol for when you're out of the village, who is in charge. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment this evening? Okay, I'm seeing none, so we'll close public comment at 6:03. At this time, I have no comments. That brings us to the consent agenda, which includes the minutes of council meeting for April 14th, the accounts payable, expenditure, revenue reports, and balance sheet. Any questions or concerns on those items? Any discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Seconded. Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Schoenborn,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yeah.
Schulze.
Yes. Okay, brings us to our reports. First up is the engineer's report.
Okay, I guess we've got a few items later on in the agenda, but just to give you an update on where we're at with the Main Street project. The water main has been installed and is in the process of being tested. It's passed its pressure test, and Brian's in the process of getting the bacteria testing done. That should follow shortly. We did find that at the northeast corner of Grand River and Main Street, in the process of building the water main, it was discovered that there was a Ingham County storm drain that was sort of next to the area that we were working, where we found at some point in the past, one of the internet providers had drilled their fiber right through the middle of the storm sewer that was there. And the way that was discovered was there was some water that was generated in tapping the main, and it drained away really quickly, more than you would have expected. And so that's something that the drain office has been made aware of. They've come out once with a video inspection They were able to find the penetration by the fiber line, and they noted quite a bit of material in the sewer. So their plan is, if they haven't done it today, their plan was to come out and jet out the rest of that sewer, to see if there were any other repairs that were going to be made. And the way that'll be handled financially is it'll be the responsibility of the Ingham County Drain Office to address that. They're working with Reith Riley, and we have Jacob Ranger from Reith Riley here today to address any questions that come up on this or anything else. So then that will be, like I said, ultimately the responsibility of the Drain Office, and they will likely back charge it to the internet provider that bored through the storm sewer in the first place. And then we had a situation where there were 2 fiber optic cables about mid-block that were not marked by MSDIG, and they got clipped. And as a result, the library was out of data for a few days. But since then, their cable provider has come and replaced their line. The other one's a SurfNet, and I don't think that one's been addressed yet, but they've been notified about that. And the other items, I guess we'll leave for specific new business items.
Okay. Just for the report on the drain repair, will that be completed prior to paving? Fixing the storm drain?
That's the strong preference, that
Okay,
whatever we need to do there, we get done ahead of time.
gotcha.
We don't want to come back in and open it up again.
Thank you, Bruce. Any questions for Bruce beyond what we're going to talk about later in the agenda? Okay, thank you. Any advocate reports? Do we have any?
Just that the picnic is moving along. We're in touch with people and everything's moving smoothly.
Excellent. Okay, moving on to new business. First item up is the Livingston County Building Department Services. So a little bit of miscommunication last meeting, but Jim Rowley is present this evening to go over the proposed agreement. As Ryan pointed out, this is the agreement that they have in place with Williamston. So the idea would be to just change the name, but tonight I would encourage Jim to introduce yourself, what you guys offer, what you do, what you don't do, and then if there are any questions from the council.
Hello everyone, my name is Jim Hall. I'm the director of the Livingston County Building Department. Sam and I have been, as you know, been communicating about providing service to you guys for in lieu of your contract inspectors. About 10 years ago, the state approved contract inspectors to provide services. However, most of them they don't have enough work to generate a full-time employee. So they always have part-time employees, which makes it very difficult for the contractors. A lot of those guys are also paid by the inspection, so that creates an incentive to find things wrong. If a guy goes, they'll get $75 an inspection or $60 an inspection, they'll spend an hour looking at a house, and drives his own car, his own insurance, so he's not really making a lot of money. But if he finds one little thing wrong, he gets to come back tomorrow for a 30-second inspection. Now he's made $120, you know what I mean? So there is an incentive to find stuff wrong. Biggest problem we see is that they just can't get there in time. Their time is money, and schedules are hard to keep in this business. Livingston County has a full-time team of 21 people. We have 5 inspectors in the field. As you know, we're doing Williamston as well. So we're driving by here every day. Mechanical guys, electrical guys. If you call our office today, you'll get an inspection tomorrow. And that's 100% guaranteed. For some reason we can't make it, some weird thing happens, or power goes out or something, and we'll certainly call the contractors. So our guys are hourly employees, full-time employees, none of them are paid by the inspection. They don't want to come back. So they look for reasons to approve things rather than find reasons not to approve them. Because if nobody wants to come back and disapprove something as a former inspector, you come back, there could be animosity there, because basically we tell people to do things they don't necessarily think they should have to do. So that sometimes creates a problem. So we have a very good relationship with our contractors. We are probably the only building department that's actually part of the Home Builders Association in Michigan. We work with those guys a lot. We attend their meetings, they attend ours. I think we can do a good job for you. We have 6 ladies at our counter, we have 4 plan reviewers. So if you call our office, somebody will pick up the phone, you will never get voicemail during regular business hours. So we get a lot of calls from a lot of other communities, and our plan review guys will talk to them about codes, and we'll say to them, wait a minute, we don't have jurisdiction in that area. And they go, yeah, we know, you're the only guys that we know we can call, pick up the phone, open a book and give us some answers. So then we have to qualify that answer that this is the way we see it, somebody else might see it differently. So we're one of the few full-time departments around, really. If you go anywhere north of here, it's gonna be state of Michigan part-time inspectors, or communities that share an inspector here and there, and it's gonna be one inspection, might take you a week. In Ann Arbor, I think they're 3 weeks out for an inspection. Those, so those guys will pull a permit in Ann Arbor, they'll ask for the inspections the day they pull the permit, and then they work like heck trying to meet the deadline to get ready in 3 weeks so that they don't have to cancel their inspection. So, what we find is contractors, I don't want to say more so than money, because everybody's in business to make money. They just don't want to be jerked around. They don't get that in Livingston County. You can call me. I am there 40 hours a week. Call any other planner you guys, somebody will pick up the phone. Somebody will help you out. So we have seen a decrease in our activity in the last couple of years of 20% or more. And that's why I think this opportunity is good for both of us, especially since we're driving by here all the time. We do Fowlerville, which is a couple miles down the road, and Williamston. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
So you encompass all of Livingston County?
Green Oak Township, which is on the east side, southeast side, they've always had their own building department.
Okay.
So they
But you do
their own thing.
Pinckney, Brighton,
Yep.
Howell, Fowlerville?
Howell, believe it or not, which is their office is 2.5 miles down, they decided to open up, they were using consultants, they've used us, went away, went to consultants, now they've opened up their own building department again. So they've recently are doing their own thing. But we, other than that, we do 15 townships, 2 cities, Hamlet Health. We hire new guys, we tell them, we're gonna put you in hell so you can tell everybody that you're their inspector from hell that everybody talks about. And
Okay, so you do Fowlerville, you do Williamston, you want to do Weberville?
And feel free to call Fowlerville if you'd like, or Williamston. I think hopefully they're happy with our services. We do them every day. They call us and, they'll email me in the morning and say, hey, somebody's building a deck over here or something. We send somebody by and, tag it if it's appropriate. And, we work with them very closely, work with our townships very closely. One of the things that I think are a challenge for some communities is we don't do zoning. The county has a process where we call a land use permit. So to pull a permit anywhere in Livingston County under our jurisdiction, you would go to your township and apply for a permit there. They're gonna look at things like how close to the lot line, what color is it in the downtown business district, the setbacks and things like that. And some of them charge for that service, some of them don't. And then they bring that approval to us, and then we'll process. We're just the people that make sure it doesn't fall down. We're not the people that tell you can have a deck 6 inches from your neighbor's fence. That's zoning. So I know Sam mentioned too, they don't do zoning. So sometimes that could be a challenge. Some communities have shared other zoning people with other communities. Williamston's doing their own thing. I'm not sure who's doing their zoning over there. Some people have delegated that work to other employees within their community. So I just want to point out, negatives as well as positives.
So for the time being, well, historically, McKenna's done all of our zoning approvals, and they would continue to do so. If we were to bring on Livingston County for the building side of it, so as long as McKenna's willing to continue servicing that part of the contract, or the village is willing to engage in that contract, that part would not change. So for a resident or a builder to build or work in the village, the process would be to come down to the village, go through the zoning process, and then once McKenna gives their check mark, then it would go to Livingston. Would be the process.
And we have a chart of all the requirements for the different townships. Like some people want, we go to Hamburg Township, for instance, a lot of lakes there. There isn't a road that goes straight from more than about 2 blocks without turning around some pond. They want zoning approval for like generators and a lot of other things that other people don't. Because they want to make sure that you get really tight lake lots, they want to make sure that the generator's not 4 feet from the neighbor's house. So we have a chart that says who wants zoning approvals for different types of work. And in most cases, furnace replacements, electrical upgrades and stuff, the townships don't care about that stuff.
Right.
So they would not need your zoning approval, and a lot of that stuff can be done right online. So many of those types of service contractors that work here in Waterville are also working in Fowlerville and Livingston County. Lakeside and those kind of, mechanical contractors that kind of fix your furnace, they're working with us already. They know us, they know our processes. We're a pretty big department. We do 15,000 inspections a year. So,
So in that example, so I'm understanding it correctly. If a resident has to replace a hot water heater, they call up their contractor, they pull a permit with you because it's not zoning.
if you choose to make it not zoning.
Yep.
So,
Permit gets issued, you schedule the inspection, our office doesn't have to handle it.
yeah, we issue the permit and then they call us
Mhm.
for the inspection. And they can apply for inspection through text, through email, online. There's a number of ways they can do that.
Mhm.
And when we do an inspection, they will get a text and an email that tells them the result of that inspection, usually before the guy's out of the driveway. And, you guys don't have a lot of big builders here, but for the big companies, that's helpful. Because, 10 years ago, a superintendent that's got 200 houses, he'd have to go to every job and write down what the tax said in the window. This one passed, this one didn't. Now they have all that, digitally. It saves a lot of effort. And we've had real positive responses. We've had that about 7 or 8 years now. So.
I mean, one comment that I would make, just reading through this proposal, I think it's impressive that in the past 10 years, fees have been lowered 3 times. So I mean, that's, looking at the current fee schedule online would be a substantial cost save versus what our permit fees are today.
Well, the state law says that the government cannot make a profit on building department fees. So we had an excess fund, so we lowered our fees and ran the right intentionally for about 6 years to lower that fund balance. And we recently, in the last 6 months, we did raise our fees because we were trying to lower that balance. And it's always a game. We're trying to break even. We don't want to make money on swimming pools and lose money on furnaces. So you're kind of adjusting your stuff. So it's kind of a break even thing. And you can't predict where it's going to be. So if we get too much money, we lower our fees. This is the first time I've been here 16 years. And this is the first increase in fees that we had was in the last 6 months. And I don't know how long before I was here that they were ever raised. So it's been a long time. The difference in the government and the consultants they can set their fees whatever they want. They're not going to work for even. No business does that, right? It's the government. So consultants typically have pretty high fees.
Yeah, so,
So basically, you want to subcontract the building side from McKenna to these guys.
I wouldn't necessarily use subcontract, but yeah, the Livingston County would take over the building department's responsibilities from McKenna.
And then what would be left at McKenna?
So that would be zoning reviews and approvals, rental inspections, and city planning. So things like the work we've done doing the ready redevelopment, RRC work, master plans, things like that. And then currently what McKenna is doing for us, which is also on the agenda to review tonight, is nuisance code ordinance enforcement, things like tall grass, sidewalks not shoveled, things of that nature.
So that's going to be left up to McKenna. I thought that was going to be DPW. That was going to
That's on the agenda for later.
I do have this going before one of our boards. I'd like to make you a legitimate official proposal on May 4th. I can't leave you a copy of my proposal. I'm not like submitting it officially, but you can see what we're going to offer. There is a cost associated with this that the county's going to absorb Unfortunately, you guys have the BSNA building department module. And with BSNA, there's different modules for different things, like the assessing module, I'm sure you have, that's probably why you have BSNA. And there's the building department module, because you have the building department module, the cost to bring you into our database is much less expensive than it would be in Williamston. So we will absorb that cost. So I guess the point I'm trying to make in some of this stuff is, we're not trying to sell you anything, anyway, we're doing well. But when Sam and I started talking, I just see this opportunity that really works for both of us. And it's an easy fix for us, because we're driving by, and I think your contractors in here will be much more happy with daily service than weekly service.
I think that's been the biggest pain point that we've had and experienced, is the more than half a day a week of inspections.
Now, the people in the jam, they call us, they call, because we'd rather be inconvenienced with a short notice inspection than have somebody just go, oh, I had to get it done, just call us, it's somebody out of work in the area, we always have people around here,
Right.
So,
So
when I'm on the east side, we're ready to help.
You're thinking that you would have a proposal ready to put in front of us May 4th, you said?
That's when I'll have approval of my first board.
Okay.
Because the first board, it's kind of redundant, the second board is actually the same group of people. But, anytime I do anything that affects, personnel or money or liability, I have to take it to those boards.
Gotcha.
So I don't anticipate any issues on the board. Like I said, I have a proposal that I would submit to you on the 5th, that I can leave either today or just email it to you.
Okay.
It just says, it's more inclusive of everything, probably written by one of our lawyers, I'm not sure, but, and so when that's done, then our lawyer will prepare a contract, much like the one that I had, I think I included the, Williamston one.
Williamston.
Yeah, we're just gonna kind of change the names, it's really the same services.
Right.
And it's just, when is our next meeting in May?
The 12th.
Yeah,
The 12th?
Yeah, May 12th.
I think our second meeting is like late in the month, 26 or 27 or something.
So,
In essence, you could have a proposal to council by the 12th.
yeah, we could, if you have a proposal by our 12th, like, we can put that in front of this board for review, and then, I'm just thinking off the cuff here, but if it has to go through a second board approval process on your end, sometime in May, and then probably the first meeting in June is when we could officially adopt, assuming everything goes through on your end.
And then, our contract will just say when both parties have agreed to a time frame or something.
Yeah.
That way, if we gotta be held back, or we gotta jump in 2 days early, whatever.
Yeah.
You don't have the type of activity that's really gonna inconvenience us if we have to start early or start later,
Right.
So,
So I think realistically, probably by this time next month, we'll have a pretty good idea of a start date. I mean, it could even be.
Well, that's if we decide to adopt it.
Correct. Yeah. It'd probably be sometime early mid-June. So, I don't have any questions. I know we spoke quite a bit over the phone, but this is a pretty big change that would affect a lot of people in the village. So I would encourage, as long as Jim's willing to answer more questions.
You can pass on my email or my phone number, anybody wants to call me, something comes up and you're thinking about it, just give me a call, I'm sitting there all day long, so.
Okay.
Looking forward to it, hopefully.
Excellent. Well, we certainly appreciate you coming, Jim.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thanks, everybody.
thank you.
And you're more than welcome to stay, but if you want to get on the road, you're more than welcome.
Have a good night.
Drive safe.
Okay, next item of new business is consideration of resolution 2026-12, which is to revoke the industrial facilities tax exemption certificate for QPS. So for those who weren't aware, I mean, it certainly made news in multiple publications. QPS, the large marijuana facility in our business park that has the big greenhouses, they officially closed operations. They're no longer producing. So as a result, that jeopardizes their tax exemption certificate that this board approved back when they expanded their facility a number of years ago. So Jess, correct me if I'm wrong, this is something that unless they were to reopen by the end of the year,
Yeah,
we
but
would
they
have no
actually
choice.
sold their building, so they're gone, they're done.
They sold the building. Oh,
I don't know what the company name is, but,
interesting.
so the assessor at the township contacted me, said that we need to revoke it, especially before the end of the year, so that next year the personal property taxes can go back on.
Okay, well, seems pretty clear to me then that they're not gonna be reopening. I guess any questions from the board as to what this is or what's going on? Well, yes, that being said, I'd recommend that we approve Resolution 2026-12 to revoke the industrial facilities tax exemption certificate as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ridgewood,
Yes.
Schoenbrood,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay, next item is Resolution 2026-13, which is to appoint the DPW supervisor as lead ordinance enforcement officer. So we just talked about this a couple minutes ago, with McKenna rolling back some of their responsibilities. We identified, talking to Chris, that it's really impractical for Jim to try to keep up with our local ordinances when he's no longer present here on any sort of regular basis. So I think it makes sense if we look to our other departments and internal activities who are here 5 days a week, 40 hours. It only makes sense that our DPW supervisor holds that responsibility. I think we already got a badge number from the county?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's in place, and I guess I'll
I'm
ask.
gonna play deputy dog.
So I do have a question.
Yeah,
We've talked about it. There's been no mention whatsoever of compensation for this added position. So I've been looking at all the job boards across the state. Code enforcement officers are starting out right now at $23 an hour and going up to $30 an hour.
Mhm.
So this is a significant addition to my current roles in the village. And while I want to make it fair to the village, it also has to be fair to myself because of all the additional training, knowledge, activities that I have to engage in. So I'm curious where we stand on compensation for this, because this is a huge role. This is a lot more training that I have to partake in. I have to stay up to date with everything. I mean, you guys have, listed everything here. I know what code enforcement officers make as a full-time job. This is going to be a full-time job on top of my other full-time jobs that I have here. So I'm very curious as to what the thought process is here for making sure that I am compensated for it, since this is a large addition.
yeah. I don't disagree whatsoever that it would be reasonable to expect anybody to do this for free. That said, and to your point, which is, I think this has to be fair to both parties, one party being yourself and the other party being the taxpayers. I would like to give it some time to understand what exactly the commitments and what is being asked of you. I mean, at this point, we sort of have an understanding of what one person is doing, 4 to 6 hours a week. But I would like to be fair in giving this some amount of time to figure out how much of a burden we would actually be placing on DPW supervisor.
It's gonna be a full-time burden. I'm here 40 hours plus a week when I'm making my way through the village and I see something or phone calls come in, I mean, you guys put it in writing right here. It's a burden.
Mhm.
It's gonna be a full-time burden that is going to really cut into some of my other activities that I have to partake in. So I think before this resolution's passed, I think we better have a number on the table here. It's just my opinion, because it's me that is going to have to go through all this training, added responsibilities. So I think a number should probably be in writing before we move forward with this. It's my opinion. I have a number in my mind, based on what I'm seeing as a full-time code enforcement officer. It is significantly less than the jobs that I've looked at already, but it also, compensates me for my time, my knowledge, my training, new responsibilities that I have to take in. So I don't think we should move forward with this until there's a number that's been agreed upon.
Or possibly hire someone.
Or, and that's why we were trying to do this. We're trying to get a full-time, somebody that's here all the time to be able to move fast. More than, a couple hours on Monday morning with what we're currently at. So, I mean, it's only fair that a number is discussed before this moves forward.
Well, I'm honest, I'll be honest, I don't have a number prepared, for this evening. It's something I would have to think about. Especially how to structure this.
Probably maybe a job description,
Yeah,
so that way there's a new job description, then have it signed and everything.
mm-hmm.
Ryan, is there one of your guys that isn't, I'm not saying they're not busy, okay, but isn't as busy as you that could take on this responsibility?
No, because I assign them tasks all day long, and I spoke with them about it, the two guys that would be proper for the position, and neither one of them they do not want to have that responsibility.
Good.
I think when you're doing that kind of responsibility, when you're driving around, and then if you have somebody that's calling and, they're like, well, it wasn't like that. With Ryan being in the position he's in, I saw that he's the supervisor. Whether it's grass or if you're dealing with, things that have been piling up in a yard.
Well, we all carry phones, can
No,
contribute to that.
absolutely,
I
yeah.
drive around
No, I
taking
get where
pictures
you're
right
going.
now. I mean, there's evidence, whoever's doing it's got evidence before it's brought up, so.
Right. But then it would be like every one of us then are going to take on the responsibility, if that's what you're saying. I carry a phone too. I walk around all this time. So then as a board, are we going to take on the responsibility then? I mean, I have no problem with it. That's every one of us on this board taking on the responsibility of saying that's what we're going to do. And there is training that we would have to do.
Well, at present, the village is not going to go without. We are still being serviced by McKenna.
Correct.
So everyone's clear. We're still being serviced in that capacity. So it's not like we're in a position where we need to make a decision on this today or even tomorrow. Ryan, let me ask you this. Compensation aside, is this something that is of interest to you that you would be willing to do?
I would be willing to do it just because of what I'm already doing. Even with McKenna Group serving as that, a lot of it does fall to me, and then I work with Jim on it. I have no problems doing it, but with the increase in training, responsibilities, adding to my plate already, I need to be compensated for it because it's not even in my job description as it stands right now. So I have no problems doing it as long as I'm fairly compensated.
Okay.
So then table it until you and Ryan can have some sit down time.
Yep, let's we can table this for now. So I'll just make a recommendation that we table resolution 2026-13 until next meeting.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Good. Next is the special event permit for the Memorial Day run. So how many years this has been going on now? I do not believe that anything has changed from the scope of previous years. This is, I guess a good question is, will the North Main parking lot be done by Memorial Day? Is that, assuming things go well, is that within the scope of the project to be done by then?
Oh, we've got the contractor here.
Which way we go with, parking lot assessment that we're going to do over there. If, say, the two options that Bruce will talk about a little bit later, if we go with cement stabilization, remote, stuff like that, we should be able to get that done before the weekend. Based on the schedule, and as long as that storm sewer doesn't end up being a bigger snake than it is. But we do have to be working with Livingston County, so that has to be open on some of the days we're heading out to Livingston County. I'll see which be a lower ton day, so we get here, try to base and top that too.
Okay.
Thanks, Jacob.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully it's done in a month. Any questions from the board on the Memorial Day run? Not, recommend that we approve the special event permit for the Memorial Day run as presented.
So moved.
Second.
No money being spent, so all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right. Next is the special event permit for the parish grand opening / community picnic. So I believe the owner of the parish is here this evening, so the agenda, So there's a special event permit and a sidewalk permit, both regarding the parish. So Doug, if you're comfortable and want to speak on what you're planning on to help bring the council up to speed on.
Sure, how's everybody doing tonight? I'm Doug, I'm the owner of the parish. I didn't want to inconvenience anybody, but I also wanted to, try to give everybody a communal involvement in this. I understand there's a community picnic that goes on June 12th. I've reached out to a couple of contacts that I've had as well, and I sat down with Lana for a little bit, talked to her, talked to Josh Depew, and I really wanted to bring recognition. Not only for me, not just being selfish, but I understand the picnic has not been, what's the word I'm looking for, Lana?
It's growing as.
Yes, it is growing, but I would really like to help grow it even further. I've reached out to a couple of the local car clubs, Brighton, Flint, Brighton, Howell, Lansing, Okemos, a couple of the bike clubs, a couple of other places, and I was said, I will either move forward or I would say, slow down, you need to slowly roll. I didn't know what I needed. I didn't know what all I had to do. So I started writing everything else. But as of right now, there's a potential to have 60 to 80 classic cars, 50 to 75 bikes, and not a Jeep Jamboree, but 20 to 30 Jeeps, and just have everything out here. I've already requisitioned and been not really approved, but I've already gotten I'm gonna do this for a live band, a DJ, and then we'll have overhead drones flying around, just taking pictures of everything and just give everybody the, hey, this is what we're doing. Our parking lot and our courtyard have been almost finished. We're just waiting for the rain to wash the rocks up one more time, and we're gonna glue that down, putting live edge picnic tables out there, and we'll be expanding our seating area there and along the, what side is this? North side?
This is south, that's north.
That's north,
north, so, yeah, so along the
west side.
west
This
side,
is
thank you, west, yeah, so along the west
That's
side,
east.
so, yeah. That's east side, yes. So
West
the
side.
courtyard's on the west side. So we're gonna have, extra seating for everybody that's coming on there. So, Jessica has been, not you Jessica, my Jessica, has been, very, sociable on Facebook about what's going on, what we're doing. We seem to have a fairly big turnout. Everybody's asking, when are you open, when are you doing this? We're open. We just wanna know if we're jumping in with both feet, hitting the ground running for everything that's going on. So I've requested that, we have a special event permit and a sidewalk permit, just so that we can use the extra space on the sidewalk for more pedestrians.
This is all confined to North Main Street that we're already gonna have closed off for the picnic,
Yeah. I
Yes,
believe
yep,
so.
yes,
Okay.
yes,
because we are keeping Grand River open.
yes, yep.
And Lana, I know you've been heading up the
Yeah.
community picnic planning,
I've already met with him,
so you're on board with this?
absolutely.
Okay.
I so appreciate his help.
Yeah.
And this is Ryan, and
Yes,
Yeah, we know each other.
Yeah, I mean, as you guys said, the community picnic is growing. I think everybody enjoys the event, and if, we've got a local business who wants to throw a little bit of fuel on that fire, I see no downsides to it. But I totally understand that there's 4 other opinions up here that may feel differently about, co-hosting a community picnic, so to speak. So I'm welcome to opinions about the matter.
I don't,
Concerns.
I personally don't think it's a bad thing. My one question is, in your sidewalk permitted system, park a classic car on the sidewalk.
that, and again, I didn't know how to ask for permission, so
Well-
ask for the most and accept the least is what I've been, learning.
Yeah.
Tom and Carol have been a huge benefactor to us. They were the previous owners. We've been in direct communication with them, and everybody who knows Tom knows his car. And we wanted to use it as kind of a photo backdrop and have it up on the car away from, on Red River in case somebody want to take pictures with it. I know Jim or K&J is gonna have it nice and detailed for that event if it's gonna be done. It will not be blocking the crosswalk entrance ramp or exit ramps.
The
I guess
ADA
they are.
ramps.
So, what's that?
The ADA ramps.
Yes, it will not be blocking them, so
I'm not comfortable with a vehicle on our sidewalks.
that's fine.
I'm not either.
Keep them in the parking knuckles. Don't go up over the curb.
Parking knuckles?
That's what we call the parking spaces that are along the streets.
Oh, okay,
Keep them there. Don't go up over the curbs onto the sidewalks.
okay, all right.
I think the spot right there in front of your building,
Yeah.
that is the spot for you.
I-
I block the whole
100%.
sidewalk for
Yep.
pedestrian traffic not being able to access.
Okay.
The best idea. Other than that, I have no problems with it.
Yeah.
Right, I agree.
Well, there's 2 separate items to approve here, which is the event permit and sidewalk permit, unless there's no other comments, questions.
Now the event permit, no problem, sidewalk permit,
Okay. Well, in that case, I recommend to the council that we approve the special event permit for the parish grand opening / community picnic as presented.
so moved.
Second.
Second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then for the sidewalk permit, I recommend to the council that we approve the sidewalk permit for the parish grand opening and community picnic with no vehicles parked on village sidewalks.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? You've got your permit, sir.
Excellent, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to town.
Thank you. Oh crap, I just had one more question, sorry. Has anybody had any problem, I know Spencer, or I know you've been helping, has anybody had any issue with their location?
meaning,
Well, we're closed, and we're in Fowlerville, and we're in Okemos, and we're in East Lansing. Google keeps moving us all over the board, and now we can't even pull ourselves up and look at it. Is anybody else having any?
That's very common in this town. When we put in, like on my side, when we put in Mystics to do any work underground, if I don't catch it, it'll put us in Okemos.
Okay,
It's something to do with the way they label Grand River, because we own Grand River in village limits,
okay,
and on each side of us, it's a county road, state road, whatever. So Google Maps gets very confused with Grand River.
okay, all right.
Yes.
We're, so our POS, our point of sale, Toast, is now working on it. I was also gonna reach out to Josh to see if he could let any kind of knowledge on it at all. We tried having it fixed, but then it downloaded, my girlfriend's phone number on there, and then everybody's going, hey, we've been trying to get a hold of you all day.
No one's called.
My phone hasn't rang once. And all of a sudden I went over, I grabbed her phone, and there's like 35 missed calls from this area code. I'm like, yeah, you been calling the number, she's not gonna answer, she's baking. So, that's why I'm trying to figure out, we're just, so our Toast guys are having a heck of a time doing it. I just wanna know, what was everybody else's fix that they could do? Because
There is none so far.
okay, all right, it's just, it's got us all over the place, and they downloaded the wrong picture, so we're actually our insurance guys. Awesome. So, painting, I don't know if I have to bring that up, painting, we keep pushing that back because of the weather, but the building will be getting repainted, we're hoping Thursday or Friday, and that should be all finished. All permits are done and taken care of, and the cow's gonna have to go. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, item number 7 is the special meeting with the township regarding land development. So last meeting, those land developers from Cogburn were here. We talked about scheduling a joint meeting with Leroy Township. It's really hard to get 2 boards plus a developer plus a third party all to agree on a date. So we're still working on that, but right now we're looking at probably sometime the week of the 18th. We've got meetings in between then, so if those guys actually can agree on something that works for everybody, we can bring it forward to next council meeting or a council meeting after that to settle on something. So that's the only update I have.
So, table.
Yeah. Yep.
And possible May 18th as a,
Sometime during that week.
Yeah.
okay, that week.
Yeah. Item number 8 is the South Main Street parking lot project order change. So the first item of discussion with the roadworks is, I think it came up initially at the DDA board of whether or not we are keeping or removing the grass islands in both the North Main and the South Main parking lots. It was not in the scope of the initial project to do that. So I asked Bruce to put together some pricing on what it would take to have those removed. One, having less asphalt seams would certainly make those assets last longer. And 2, since we're responsible for snow removal, it would make that a heck of a lot easier if there wasn't giant islands in the way. And 3, it would open up probably 2 to 4 spots in each lot. So I think the number we're looking at is $15,743.48. I know Josh was copied on these emails. Is that something that, I know the DDA was taking on the paving portion of this project. I guess who would be, is it the village or the DDA's responsibility to pick up the change order?
I mean, we have to obviously have a board to answer to, but I'm pretty sure because that was a discussion we had, I think the DDA would be favorable to take care of that because when we talked on DDA, that was one of the things we thought would be a good idea because more spots, less maintenance. I mean, not having to have Ryan's guys have to weed whack it or whatever else to maintain the grass. And like you said, with the plow trucks, I think it'd just be a win.
Right.
It solves a bunch of problems, it gets rid of more problems. So, I mean, I can take it to the DDA, but I would assume that because everyone was in great agreement, they would be fine.
When's your next board meeting?
Monday, was that the second Monday? The 11th.
So ways off.
How's that work with timing on the rest of the project?
Yeah, it's gonna,
You probably, if you're gonna take them out, you probably wanna know like yesterday, right?
the sooner the better, so that way we can kind of mobilize all our guys into complete that part of the project and kind of what we're going to do with the remaining parts of the lot. Kind of affect a lot of moving parts on our end.
Right. I mean, do you think you could pull the board together to make a decision?
Probably could do a special.
Because the item after next item is to discuss the issues that we found with the road base, which also would financially impact the project that, I don't know if you want to tie those things together.
Would you like to talk about that item right now? Since we're talking-
I think it's fair game since we're talking about adding
Okay.
to this project, and just the project in general.
All right. So let me just back up, back in November when we approved, just for review, when we approved the construction contract for Leith Riley. That was for, and just using round numbers, $395,000 plus a 10% contingency of $39,500 for unexpected things that come up. And, you know, since that time, we extended the water main across the parking lot. That was an addition of $16,500. You know, while we were doing the project, it makes sense to come back later and tear the parking lot up again. And then we've got the roughly $15,800 to remove the 2 parking lot islands. And, you know, when we do construction, we typically do what we call a proof roll of the subgrade, and that's a highly scientific method of loading up the heaviest piece of equipment that is on the site with loaded gravel and then running it across the grade. And what we found in the south parking lot was, you know, we look for a yield in the grade. So when the truck rolls over it, the wheel depresses into it, creates a rut. And so that condition in the south parking lot is really too soft, even to allow paving equipment to get onto it in order to make, in order to lay the asphalt. And so there's 2 solutions, and this is occurring in the south parking lot, plus a section of Main Street, sort of in the northwest quadrant, you know, the first 20 feet or so away from the curb. And so, you know, we looked at a couple options for doing this, wanting to, you know, have a good quality product when we're done at the least possible cost. And the more expensive option on how to address this would be to excavate out a foot of the material that's there, put down what we call a geotextile, which is a grid that looks like this, sort of like reinforcing in concrete, and then bringing in a foot of 21 AA gravel. And that cost, we're estimating at $98,000. So
that would be like rebar?
yeah, it's kind of like rebar, except it's made out of plastic. And it sits on the bottom of the grade and just adds strength to the pavement cross-section.
And the plastic is gonna stay?
That'll
I mean,
stay.
It's gonna hold up?
Yep, it will. This is good stuff. It really does work. And so as a second option, you know, working with Leith Riley on some things that they've done in the past, another option would be, instead of removing the material that's there, is to get essentially like a machine that would be used to pulverize pavement. Get that in there, and they inject a cement slurry while they're mixing it up to create, you know, sort of a reinforced base that ends up being, you know, pretty hard. That option came in at about less than half at $44,600. And that's something that, Jacob and Reith Riley have used on other projects and have had success with it. The one potential that I've heard in talking to our PEA's geotech guys is sometimes what'll happen is that reinforced concrete soil will have shrinkage cracking in it, and the cracking will reflect sort of prematurely up into the pavement. To try and mitigate that, Reith Riley has indicated that they would let that cement reinforced subgrade cure for 3 days. And a lot of that shrinkage occurs during that curing cycle. And then, you know, the worst case would be if some cracks show up, we would have to start a crack filling procedure, maybe a little bit earlier than we normally would. But we think that'll result in a good quality product. So anyways, that, you know, if you look at those 3 different things, the water main, the parking lot islands, and, you know, if you use the concrete stabilized base option, in addition to the $434,500 that's already been authorized, it would be an additional $37,500. So I don't know if that's something that the council would need to take up.
You're including the contingency in that difference that you just mentioned, right?
Correct, yep.
Okay.
So the amount with the contingency was $434,500, and with those 3 items brings it up to $472,000.
Okay.
So you guys did no soil boring?
We did do some pavement corings, you know, and to mainly get the pavement thickness and the base and to look at the sub base. And, you know, it was typical Michigan clays. You don't always know exactly how those are going to behave until you get them opened up and run equipment on them. Like, for instance, the north lot had pretty much the same pavement corings, but that lot is stable and doesn't need any undercutting at all. We did a proof roll on that. One of the other things that might have happened is a lot of times when these clays get wet, they tend to, you know, start pumping more. And we have had quite a bit of rain this spring after that pavement got opened up.
I was gonna say, how would have that gotten wet? We haven't had any rain around here.
Yeah.
Seriously.
The joys of construction.
It has to get done, though.
Yeah, I don't think we have a choice.
Yeah, I mean,
It has to be done.
Josh, I know you can't give a firm answer, but do you think it's realistic for you to pull the DDA board together by before the end of this week?
Yeah, I was also looking at the minutes because the minutes are, when we pulled the bond, obviously the bond was to cover parts of that project. There was no exact dollar amount tied to that, and we did take out for the bond, we took out enough for unforeseen stuff. So, I mean, besides it being an arbitrary thing for the DDA, I mean, the bond, as long as we have bond available, which we do, I mean, it's pretty much gonna be used for that. So, and then I don't know, how much was it of that money was the DDA's portion, like for the original project?
I'm not sure I understand what you're asking.
Cause you segmented it out so that we were covering the, like, pavement portion and,
Oh, I would have to go back and look and see
okay.
before I gave you a firm number. Yeah. Because we took the contract and kind of parsed it up between the DDA and the village.
Yeah,
Yeah, let me take that back. Look at it.
okay, yeah, cause I mean, that would be part of it, I mean, us picking up this project obviously saved the village its road funds.
Yep.
So technically you guys do have the money in your budget because you originally budgeted to do that. So there should be enough for you guys to cover it. And then, like I said, I'm sure we could pull the DDA together and do a vote to affirm that we would cover it. Well, like I said, I think you guys have enough to cover it currently.
We do.
And, I mean, kind of rock and a hard place at this point, you have open road.
Yeah, well, and I guess that's a question for this board is, are we comfortable in the theme of keeping this ball rolling, the project moving, approving it and taking it back to the DDA board, basically begging for forgiveness and reimbursement on the overages?
That was gonna be my suggestion. Is there the way that the council can approve this with the hopes that at the end result, the DDA can cover all of it or half of it or some of it?
Our budgets are healthy enough that we could cover this. Granted, the bill won't be due until probably after the DDA board meets and everything.
Well, just like you say, keep this moving. My question to Reeve Riley.
Yes, sir.
How much time is this putting you behind? What's this adding to the project? Ish.
I'm just waiting on, see if we get approved to do this. We're gonna say
Okay, but if we give you approval, sitting right here, right now, how much time does this add to the project?
Shouldn't really have too much more time. I got the subcontractor waiting with the cement stabilization on board and you said to let him know. We were gonna have concrete guys coming next Tuesday, maybe. If we get that stabilizer in here, we get a order on those islands. We can rip all those islands out, get the concrete ripped out, try to pour the concrete back in like Friday, get the islands kind of leveled out with some gravel, just to mix in those spots that were re-excavated. And I'll help, or we can find some joint gravel, I guess, when Kearney Mills, other street, maybe we fill that with the island, but probably better than aggregate. It's not gonna add many more extra days, maybe 2 or 3 tops.
Okay.
It should still be done by Memorial Day. And if we get Wadewill in there, they stabilize it, maybe Friday instead of pouring concrete, that'd cure up by following Monday. We have the concrete guys coming Saturday, and we could be paving by then next week.
Assuming water samples all pass,
Yes.
we should be able to start. I haven't talked to Mark yet, because I don't know where we're at on his schedule, but late Wednesday, definitely Thursday, Friday, we'll be doing water main hookups. So that's assuming I get all approvals Wednesday morning.
And obviously Mother Nature's gonna have a thing or two to say about it somewhere along the line.
The other wild card would be if the drain commissioner's office wants to do a bigger project out here than just fix the one hole.
Well, so if that happens, I think that we need to go ahead and get that park lot over there done.
Yeah.
Sooner than later.
Right. I guess my other question, we would still have to decide which option of repair to go with, but assuming that the most favorable is the least expensive, and assuming that there's some level of cracks that form, how many thousands of dollars will it cost to do crack repair?
Probably very minimal.
It's probably something we would probably rent the machine and do it in-house.
Okay.
Couple $1,000 maybe.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being
Okay.
that bad. Because I know Bruce and I have talked about with the industrial park as well, it's gonna be needing a couple of cracks filled,
Yeah.
Main Street. I mean, it's just general maintenance of asphalt in Michigan,
Is there any sort of, I guess, failure or success rate with this method in terms of you do all the work and then, it's a bad batch of slurry or it doesn't set right or it's not? Is there a risk in going with the lower cost option that all this work, money, effort goes into it and we go, crap, it's still not good enough?
That kind of be a question, I guess, when we figure out the slurry, which we can work with Bruce's geotech engineers. From personal experience, we've used it in Leslie last year, we were paving the streets and kind of the same thing happened. They had pretty decent cores, but places they took cores, they were running different water mains and stuff like that. So by the time we got to the outsides of the road and stuff, same thing happened. And we used the Grand Ledgemire, and that was kind of the same thing that happened here. That stuff was really clay and soft, which is why I recommend to do the 3 days, because the first phase that we did at the Grand Ledgemire, but they only did 6 inches too, which our stabilizing company told them how terrible an idea that was. allowed us to get on it with our paving equipment, but as soon as some spots we were still busting through. When we did the first phase, we waited 3 days and worked with Meyer on that. But in the next 3 phases, they only wanted us to do it, stabilize it one day, be right on it the next morning. And those parts of the parking lot, when I started talking with Bruce about different ideas, I drove over there and the 3 phases that they did, or we jumped on it right after, seemed to be stress cracking more than the first phase that we did, where we left it secure all the way and hard enough. But then again, the 12 inches versus 6 inches is one of the bigger factors that was there on that project. But that's why I, just from what we've done and seen our personal days, recommend waiting 3 days. I'm not sure what the difference in the claims were in these other projects versus this, so I can't say for sure. But I feel like it'll probably be a better option to save more money and don't want to have that big of a cost that I jump up and surprise everybody, but.
Well, what does the board think?
I mean, if they've had success with using the method that they have and doubling from 6 inches to 12 inches.
Mike, your
I've never heard of the
construction.
method, yeah, I've never heard of this method. I don't have an opinion one way or the other of it. I'm going on what I would call the expert in the field that's used it, and he says it's good, and Bruce has done research on it, and seems to think it's all right, I guess we can go with it.
Deborah?
Be able to help out Ryan if cracks form.
That's, yeah, that would just be part of our general
We can-
street maintenance.
Okay,
Yeah, small communities rent crack sealers quite frequently.
all right.
I'll
I'm
ask.
okay with that.
When does the crack repair become our responsibility versus Reeve Riley's? I mean, is there a year, is there a 6 month?
Tail light warranty.
I kind of imagine it's immediate.
I guess it'd just be, I guess, with the warranty says in contracts, I don't remember off the top of my head.
Okay,
I mean,
Yep, you got another,
I'm set.
Josh being the chairman of the DDA, do you have an opinion on the TIF district? And you'd be putting this in front of your board for approval?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, the experts talked about it. I mean, I'd like to hear Ryan's opinion on it. Just, if he thinks that would work and doesn't create a big pain in his.
I don't see an issue with the slurry.
Yeah.
I've seen it one other time. I have never taken part in it. I've seen it done once. I mean, roads are gonna crack. It's Michigan. No matter what we do, they're gonna crack. I've already kind of got it in my head that we're gonna be renting a crack sealing machine maybe next summer. It's easier to fill the cracks when they're small. Water is the #1 killer of roads. So if we can keep that surface sealed where the water can't get through the road base, our roads will last longer. So, like I said, I've got it in my plans already for next summer, crack sealing between Highview Drive, everything we've done on North Main Street. So I don't see an issue with the slurry.
Can we not do the cracks like they did on Grand River?
That's a different machine. We do not own one of those, and there's a reason why.
The worse than a gravel road.
Yeah, that machine says Reeve Riley on the side of it too. Tear it out, put it back.
No, that machine's a different beast, and it has its places, and what they did with it is not one of its places.
Right. Is there any other discussion? If not, I think we ought to do these separately. So I would recommend to the council that we approve change order #1 for the removal of the islands in the north and south parking lot, not to exceed $15,743.48.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes,
Schoenborg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. So on to the road base. The estimate is 44,600. Do we want to say not to exceed 50,000 since that's an estimate?
I'd be good with
A
that.
little bit of wiggle room there?
The road base, are you talking about the asphalt? Oh,
No,
No.
okay,
So,
Number 10,
yeah, it's behind that.
okay.
we kind of skipped one.
Yeah. So there's the email from Bruce is what's printed out in the packet. So I recommend to the council that we go with option number 2, not to exceed $50,000 for using specialized concrete mix into the road base to be done by Reeve Riley.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Showmore,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter, Schulte.
Yes. All right.
signed approval.
You guys get it over at some point.
I'll just email through the morning.
Yep, that'll work.
He's out here by Summit Street.
No, for the Surrey, does it need a sign?
Oh, yeah, no, I'll take care of
You'll
that.
take care, okay, perfect.
Do you need my signature on anything?
I shouldn't, no, it should just be between
Okay.
the engineer and the
That way it
contractor.
doesn't fall through the cracks, you think that I was gonna do it.
Right, yeah, no, I've got all the standard documents.
Good.
Okay. Last item of new business is the asphalt quote for South Summit Street. So, Ryan and I talked about this probably about a month or so ago when the snow finally left us. And we noticed that, holy crap, did this winter take its toll on South Summit Street. I know it's been in pretty bad shape for a while, but it got bad. So Ryan has got some quotes from Reeve Riley and McKerney, who are both mobilized and doing asphalt work in the village. So the proposal would be for South Summit Street, Rotomill, and do 2 inches of asphalt from Grand River to Chestnut Street to finally address how poor of a condition that road's in.
So there's a significant difference in price because it's actually 2 different methods. When Sam and I started talking about this whole project is just gonna be kind of like what we did on North Main Street from Beach to Party Road. It's gonna be a 5 to 10 year temporary Band-Aid, putting lipstick on a pig. The road's not gonna be rebuilt, water main, sewer, no engineering or anything like that. We got through the winter with only 1 water main break, so I don't have a bunch of road patches that we have to do, like what we did last summer with McKerney. So we're kind of sitting on some money. We have to do something with South Summit though. We can't cold patch it anymore. So I had Andy McKerney come in, he looked at it. His quote is, he's just gonna use his mill it down, put a 2-inch cap on it. Anywhere there's deep potholes where the road's pretty much gone, they'll use a method called wedging. He'll bring in 2 inches, so it's $24,900. So then, speaking with Reeve, since they're here, they would use a different method where the road is actually pulverized. It's a different type of machine. The road base stays there. They would come in with basically a road grader. They kind of shape the base, and they would be 2 2-inch lifts of asphalt. So it would be taking away all the asphalt that's there now, as opposed to McKerney's, where we're just gonna kind of cut it in half, what we did on North Main Street. Everybody knows how well that's been holding up.
The Reeve Riley method was used on Apple Lane as well.
Yep.
Pulverization.
So that's why if you guys are looking, going significant price difference, that's why it's 2 different methods. The Reeve Riley would use more asphalt versus the McKerney. But again, this is not a total road reconstruction. This is we can get 10 years out of it by crack sealing it. It'll get us by until we have more funding. The water main underneath that road, it's in great shape, knock on wood. So I don't see an issue with it.
So
To get something, what's that?
Reeve Riley will last us 10 years and we're,
Reeve Riley's would probably last a little bit longer,
I would
okay.
say so, yeah.
just because we're getting rid of
We're putting
everything
4
that's there,
inches.
and we're putting 4 inches of new material down.
And
So
the
How was Main Street done?
McCurry would be
Right,
5 years.
Main Street was done where they just milled,
From Pine to Party.
that was just milled with 2 inches and then a 2-inch cap put on it.
And I think probably an important difference is North Main probably sees more vehicle traffic.
Yep.
But South Summit sees more heavy vehicle traffic because of the grain
With the
elevator.
grain elevator. Now, it's not, like I was talking with Jacob earlier, it's not, gravel trains all day long. It's once a week, I think their grain semi comes in. After that, it's, tandem axle trucks coming through. So, I mean, either way is a good way, but, obviously there's a money difference there. I see nothing wrong with what McCurney's wanting to do. We did it up on Main Street. And if it's the difference between getting something done and not getting something done, I think we really need to go the route where we're getting something done. So that's why there's price difference.
Yeah, I mean, the way that I'm looking at this is our fiscal year started April 1st. We're not even a month in, and we've already had a lot of unexpected costs. The plus side is because the DDA has stepped up and has volunteered to take on a lot of the financial burden of the paving of the parking lot projects. It has freed up a lot of the village's budget that was already planned for road work or some sort of paving work, so the budget is there.
The Reeve Riley method it's definitely gonna be a better road, it lasts significantly longer. So it is up to, to buy what route we wanna go.
Well, Sam said it before I could, I'm just looking at the truck traffic, and it's all right there at that intersection. Where you don't have that on Main Street. Main Street, you have all turning, it's a flat
Straight shot.
drive road.
And I'd be shocked if I've ever seen an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, exactly, it gets a trash truck, probably the heaviest thing that gets on.
Trash truck. and
I
stuff.
feel the intersection right here is gonna take a lot more abuse. And I don't think the 2 inches will hold up there personally.
Okay.
Won't hold up nearly as long as what it is on Main Street. That's my 2 cents.
And that's
I
why,
don't have a professional opinion because it's not my area of expertise, but my gut tells me that it probably 2 inches feels insufficient.
Reeve did recommend the roto mill. That's why when I approached them about it the other day, they kind of said the same thing, with that truck traffic.
And I get
Their method would be
pulverization, and
significantly
it
better.
puts down the good base, it's all compacted back in, and then going over with the 4 inches, I think is a better route for the money.
And we did get a cheaper rate because mobilization, they're already in town. Any of the excess material can either be used here, or we'll just haul it to the DPW like we did with all the millings from out here.
Right.
So we're saving on trucking as well, so.
I understand it's $14,000, but I think it's a better spend.
Well, if it can make it last even 5 more years, that's $14,000 well spent versus spending 25 and if that gets ruined in 2 years, that's a crappy investment.
And I understand there's many more spots and many more streets and roads that need love, but if you're gonna redo this one, you better do it as close to right as you can.
And this section of Summit Street is a major street, that is on our major street funding. So,
And there'll be a lot less wear and tear on the plow equipment in the winter.
And if that, you might as well say 25,000 only lasted 2 years, that's an expensive 2 years. Very expensive.
so that's why I had 2 different companies, 2 different types come in. That way we had our best options laid out in front of us.
Are they both going to Chestnut?
Yes, it was the same scope.
Surprised at 300 feet.
Mhm.
Somebody want to make a motion on it?
I motion to approve Reeve Riley's quote for the $38,740 for Summit Street to Chestnut, South Summit to Chestnut.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
McEwen,
Yes.
Schoenborg,
Yes.
Stanfield,
Yes.
Walter,
Yes.
Schulte.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Brings us to the end of our new business. So at this point, we'll open up for our second round of public comment at 7:20. Any public comments?
Any comment at all from the village president on the issues that I raised earlier? As far as questioning who directed the office personnel to leave, I mean, who requested this? And they made the decision to close the office, I understand that. But who initially initiated the request for the clerk and the deputy clerk to leave the office? Who made that request? And again, if you were out of town, why is not the President Pro Tem informed of this issue and can't get a hold of anybody to get an answer?
Thank you. Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, so we'll close public comment at 7:22. I have no other comments this evening, which brings us to comments from the council.
Yeah, I'd like that question answered. I asked you that a couple of weeks ago, and your answer to me was, well, you believe in your village clerk, which you have every right to. But you broke protocol.
Whoa.
Yeah, no.
What protocol?
Here, you're out of town.
Mhm.
Did you let everybody know you were going out
First of all,
of town?
my whereabouts is my own personal business.
But you're the village president.
Correct.
You,
In running the office,
Right.
running the staff and being responsible for the employees is my job and my business.
that is correct. But if you're not here, especially if you're not even in the country, the second in command would be President Pro Tem.
If I delegate those responsibilities, which I did not, in those
Sam, when
instances,
you were President Pro Tem and the last president would go to Florida or couldn't be here, you would have had a litter of kittens if Mr. Hitchcock named Lana or me or Sandra or anybody else in charge of that meeting. That's what President Pro Tems do.
did we have a meeting while I was absent? There was no meeting to be ran.
No, but the decision that she took to close the office, my opinion, and it's just my opinion,
Okay.
okay, is irresponsible. Now, I remember last year, you and Lana took turns while she was at a class to keep that office open. We changed the rules from 8 to 5 to 8 to 4 with the understanding the office will be open, period. Period. No questions asked. Well, then we find out that on a Thursday afternoon, you're nowhere around, she doesn't post it on the internet, she doesn't call DPW. Did she
Okay.
call you?
Hang on. No.
Let me finish, let me reclaim my time. Did she call you, Sandra? Did she
I'm
call
not
you,
sure.
Lana?
Our clerk treasurer is not responsible for reporting to the DPW supervisor or anybody on this board.
Oh.
They report to the village president. And they were acting in their duties, in their job
And you were
description.
not here.
How is that relevant?
You're her boss.
And this is not a
And then
full-time
it-
job.
And
This
then
is,
it goes down to the next in chain of command.
That's not how this
Which would
works.
be, of course, that's how, well, at least now, Lana, we know what he thinks of you. He would have fought like hell,
Do not
being
put words in
president
my
pro
mouth and
tem.
challenge my character like that.
Okay, that's how it is. The thing is that she broke protocol.
There's
She
no
closed the
protocol.
office.
The protocol,
She should not have closed the office,
the
Sam.
protocol is, it is the clerk treasurer's responsibility to run that office. There was official duties that were required of both the clerk treasurer and the deputy clerk treasurer off-site. I trust them to make those decisions because
Both of
those
them.
are in their job description.
To
Yes.
go look at decorations for the DDA.
Our office provides services to the DDA annually for many, many
To
things.
close our office to do that. The DDA doesn't have a board and the DDA cannot offer their opinion to the DDA.
They meet once a month.
They don't have phone numbers. Josh couldn't call them up and say, hey, I need your opinion on this, or I need your opinion on that. That's their responsibility. That's not our office's responsibility.
Actually, it is.
No,
Right.
actually, it's not.
Excuse me, that is enough. I think we've heard your point.
You're
Having
wrong.
on the same thing is not gonna do anything.
You're right, it's not, but when I have more than 24 people that pay taxes in this village contact me and say, what the heck is going on? And they bring it to my attention, don't you think I should present it to council? Or should I just keep my mouth shut and just go along to get along?
Nobody said you should. You brought it to the attention of everybody. Everybody heard you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's how it works. There you go. There you go.
I don't actually understand what kind of resolution you want right now.
What kind of,
You,
I want
brought
to
your point.
guarantee that that office will be open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4 p.m. No exceptions. If it isn't, maybe council needs to look at redoing the office hours again. Maybe, because by Thursday, if they're so bored and they have nothing to do, maybe we should drop somebody down to part-time. I'm just saying, let's revisit this. Let's revisit the hours. Save a lot of money.
Well, you've made your opinion known.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there any other comments from the council?
No.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn at 7:26 p.m.
Seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay. Thank you for coming, everybody.